Since 1984, there have been over 20 James Bond games released across multiple generations of consoles, and many of these games are considered iconic, especially GoldenEye 007, which is often credited as one of the most influential first-person shooters ever made. Without it, the FPS genre as we know it today probably would not look the same. And on May 27th, the franchise's legacy continues with the release of 007 First Light. Now me personally, I've only ever played one James Bond game before this, so I thought there was no better time to dive headfirst into the series. So in today's video, I'm going to attempt to earn every obtainable trophy and achievement in every single 007 game available on PlayStation and Xbox. And I say attainable because almost every game featured in this video had online multiplayer servers that were shut down over the last decade, making some of the trophies impossible to get today. So for most of these games, I'll only be going for the single player and story related trophies. This journey is going to take me through some of the most underrated and sometimes most forgotten FPS games of the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. Some of these games actually surprised me, and others felt like they should have stayed hidden. So without further ado, let's start with the very first game.
There are some at MI6 who think I can't trust you. That you're blinded by inconsolable rage and motivated by revenge. But your motivation isn't my only concern. What concerns me are your methods.
007 Quantum of Solace, released in 2008, was the first James Bond game to hit the PlayStation 3 and was developed by Treyarch and published by Activision. The game is based on both the Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace films, and the game actually features Daniel Craig's likeness. Quantum of Solace was the only 007 game I've ever played before this video, so I wasn't going in completely blind, although it had been well over 15 years since I last played it, so I only remembered bits and pieces. As for the trophies, the game features 51 in total. 31 of them can still be earned through the single player, while the other 20 were tied to online multiplayer, which became unattainable after the servers were shut down back in 2016. So with that being said, let's get into it. Before beginning the introductory mission, I decided to play on 007 difficulty, the hardest difficulty in the game, since the completion trophy stack, meaning beating the game on 007 would also unlock the trophies for all the lower difficulties. The game begins with a mission called White's Estate, and the main objective here was to kidnap Mr. White, a member of criminal organization Quantum. In less than a minute into the mission, I earned my first trophy for killing an enemy with one shot. License to kill. I don't know what that's for, but that was the first trophy in about like 5 minutes into the game. Not even 5, probably like 30 seconds. Not long after, I hacked my first lock and collected my first cell phone, both of which were tied to collectible trophies that required me to find every single one throughout the game. And midway through the mission, I realized that 007 difficulty may prove to be slightly difficult. Wow. Alright, okay, cool. What? Oh. Oh. This is not going well. Once outside of the estate, I one-tapped an enemy which opened the cellar door. Yes. That should get me a trophy, I think. Time to face gravity. Nice. Pretty easy. Missed every single shot as well. In the cellar, I also found my first power weapon, which was yet another collectible that I would need to find in each mission. Eventually, I fell into a trap and needed to catch Mr. White before he escaped, and here I shot down his helicopter, which earned me a trophy for completing the mission. Oh no. Oh, did I do it? I think I did it. The view do I kill? Let's go. That was fun. That was a cool first mission. No. Oh, that's Aura. The next mission, called Sienna, consisted of chasing a rogue MI6 agent named Craig Mitchell through the sewers and the streets of Italy, and during the mission I managed to kill my 50th enemy with one shot. The man with the golden gun. Again, not sure exactly what that is for. In the streets of Siena, I found and destroyed 7 satellites located on rooftops. Oh, is that another one? That might be the last one I need. 7? We have people everywhere. That's for getting 7 satellites. I was a little worried because I only found 6, and then out of nowhere I saw that one at the corner of my eye, and we got the 7th one. Nice. Ultimately, I managed to catch up to Mitchell in a church where there was a quick time event in typical Treyarch fashion, and I defeated him for good, which concluded the mission. The following mission takes us to Austria, where Bond is tasked with infiltrating an opera house where Quantum members were supposedly holding a meeting. Here, I needed to move through backstage without alerting the guards, and in the process I was introduced to one of Bond's gadgets, which allowed him to hack into cameras, and I'd eventually need to disable 10 cameras before I finished the game to earn a trophy. And given that this was a Bond game after all, the stealth mechanics weren't bad, and I easily managed to move backstage without alerting the guards, earning me my next trophy. Opera isn't for everyone. I think that's for sneaking backstage without being spotted. That wasn't too bad. Thankfully, all the patrols were just one person. If it were multiple people, then it'd be a little bit difficult, but that was pretty easy. After taking a picture of the Quantum members meeting, I now needed to escape, and after doing so, the game shifts to Bolivia, where, in the next mission, Bond and his partner Camille Rivera are attempting to seek out a member of Quantum, as well as Bolivian General Medrano, who is attempting to overthrow the government. The mission begins fast, as Bond and Rivera have crash-landed in a sinkhole, and Medrano's men are quickly approaching in full force. This mission was pretty straightforward, as we simply needed to escape. Toward the end of the mission, Bond needed to take out a helicopter, but for a trophy, I needed to shoot the pilot while the gunners were still alive. This was honestly surprisingly pretty easy. Okay. Did I get him? He's coming fast. Pause. Okay. I didn't even get a hit mark or anything, so that was kind of surprising. I'll take it though. That was very easy. After regrouping with Rivera, the mission concluded, and I earned a trophy for completing this and the previous 2 missions. From Russia with Love. Let's go. The next 2 missions, called Shanty Town and Construction Site, take place in Madagascar and begin a series of flashbacks. The first of which, to win Bond, was after a bomb maker who was associated with Quantum. These missions consisted of me literally chasing the bomb maker through a town and construction site, and after completing both missions, I earned my next trophy. I do it. The Living Daylights. The next 3 missions take place in Miami, where Bond first has to infiltrate a science center and kill a corrupt government contractor associated with Quantum, and outside of the science center, I killed 6 of the guards with 1 shot to get another trophy. And this should give me a trophy for killing all of them with 1 shot. I missed the Cold War. Let's go. Once making my way inside, I made my way past the guards until I got to the main hall, where I shot down all of the lights. That should give me a trophy, I think. Half monk, half hitman. And after taking out the target, the mission concludes and Bond makes his way to the Miami airport, where terrorists were planning on blowing up one of the largest airplanes. And in this mission was yet another stealth section, which was definitely a bit tougher than the previous. And while attempting to save the plane's servers without breaking stealth, I managed to take down my 50th enemy, disable my 10th camera, and collect my 30th phone. Live and let die. Not exactly sure what that's for. Maybe the takedowns? God, I hope. I'd rather not have to do any more takedowns, if I'm being completely honest with you. For your eyes only. I think that was for disabling 10 cameras? Not too sure. Moonraker. I'm guessing that's for collecting a number of phones? Not long after, I made it to the servers without breaking stealth and earned the trophy. Ellipsis. I think that was for doing this stealthily. Pretty easy. Now I needed to race to the hangar before a bomb exploded the plane, and this is where things got a bit tricky. Are you kidding me? Like, what is that? Are you kidding me? Lasered. Eventually, I managed to get past the enemies and to the plane and saved it before it was too late. I think that was the bomber. Let's go. On Her Majesty's Secret Service. For the next 3 missions, Bond returns to Europe. The first mission of 3 required Bond to take out a gambler who was heading to a high-stakes poker tournament on a train with the plan for Bond to take his spot at the tournament. On the train, I needed to make my way past enemies until I got to a freight train. Here, I now needed to only use the P99 pistol while on the freight. Thankfully, this section wasn't too long, and the only problem I encountered was running out of ammo, but after finding some more and getting back onto the passenger train, I earned the trophy.
I think I did it. I only used the pistol. That's what I was supposed to do. I'm the money.
After finding and taking out the target in yet another QuickTime event, Bond makes his way to the casino. Because Bond intervened at the airport earlier, a financial deal falls apart, causing a large sum of money to be lost from a criminal organization. The accountant responsible tries to recover it by organizing this high-stakes poker game at the casino. However, the organization's leader discovers the loss and travels to the casino with his bodyguards to confront him. So now I needed to make it past both the leader's guards and the casino guards to the poker table, and in order to earn a trophy, I needed to make it to the spa room without alerting or attacking any guards. And thankfully, this stealth section was pretty short and I got to the spa with ease.
Okay, what's going on here? Any thug can kill. I think that's for successfully sneaking through without alerting the guards.
At the spa, a firefight breaks out and I next shot my way to the poker game. On the way, Bond meets up with Vesper Lind, another MI6 associate, and here Bond also gets confronted by the terrorist organization's leader. And you guessed it, another QuickTime event occurs. After taking him out, the mission ends and Bond makes it to the poker game. While playing, Bond gets drugged and we attempt to make it back to his car where there was an emergency medical kit. And once getting back to the car, the mission ends and I got my next trophy.
Casino Royale. That was crazy. Both of those missions were insane.
It turns out that in the process of Bond attempting to get back to his car, he and Vesper got kidnapped by the accountant and taken to a barge. Now I needed to find and save Vesper. After getting out of my handcuffs and past the guards, I found Vesper and I needed to protect her from the incoming enemies. This section needed to be done in under 2 minutes in order to get a trophy, which was a bit tricky as I could not afford to miss many shots. And after a few tries, I saved Vesper, or kind of, as she got across the boat and got captured again.
Did I do it? Oh, I did do it. I got a little itch. That's for, I guess, saving her in under 2 minutes, even though I didn't save her, so I'm not exactly sure what that's for.
Following her onto the boat, I cleared out the enemies until I found her again and then proceeded to get knocked out. In the following cutscene, we see Bond get interrogated and in the process, Mr. White comes and kills Le Chiffre. The game then fast forwards to when Bond finds out that Vesper was actually a double agent working for Quantum. So Bond travels to Italy where Vesper was planning to give the poker winnings to a Quantum operative. Besides one section, this mission was relatively easy and I followed Vesper to the meeting location where I managed to take out the operative with one shot and earned a trophy.
Yes. Alright, that was pretty easy. Allow me. I think that's for just one tapping him. Again, pretty easy. The spy who loved me. Is she dead? No. No. Vesper. No.
During the meeting, Vesper dies and the game returns to present day where Bond and Rivera track Medrano and Quantum member Dominic Green to a hotel in the middle of the Bolivian desert. Given that this was the final mission, I got a bunch of trophies. The first came seconds after the mission began as I killed the driver of a car coming out of the parking garage.
Alright. Oh, I got him. You just need one shot. There's no chance I got him. Absolutely no chance I got him. I'll take it.
Inside the hotel, I found the last power weapon.
Alright, this should be the last special weapon, powerful weapon or something, whatever it's called. Thunderball.
Hacked the final lock.
There we go. I'm not sure if that's the last lock I need. I know there's a couple. Oh yeah, diamonds are forever.
And collected the final phone.
The last phone, I believe. The world is not enough.
Eventually, we caught up to Rivera, who was fighting Medrano. After she killed him, I found Green and took him out for good. Now we needed to escape the hotel, and after doing this, the game concluded and I earned my final 5 trophies.
Quantum of Solace. The name is Bond, James Bond. I think that's for beating it on 007 difficulty. You only live twice. I think another difficulty trophy. Tomorrow never dies. Octopussy, I think that's for beating it On regular, obviously, I beat it on the hardest difficulty, so that automatically popped.
Quantum of Solace was super nostalgic for me, as I remembered playing a lot of these missions as a kid. I was honestly impressed with the gameplay, as it was pretty similar to the COD games, which shouldn't really be a surprise as it was developed by Treyarch and published by Activision. The only difference was while in cover, the game shifted to third person, which I thought was pretty cool and super helpful in 007 difficulty, as I could line up my shots and blind fire. I didn't remember the graphics being that bad, but I guess I shouldn't be too surprised, given this game came out nearly 20 years ago. The story was kinda confusing, as most of the game was a flashback and a mix of two storylines, but I really did enjoy this game overall. No trophies really gave me any problems, and I thought it was cool they named a lot of them after older Bond movies. So once again, it was a pretty fun experience going back and playing it for the first time in probably over 15 years. And with that being said, it's time for our next game on the list.
Hand it over. If you insist.
GoldenEye 007 Reloaded is the third James Bond game released on the PlayStation 3. Released in 2011 and published by Activision, the game is a re-imaging of GoldenEye 007 from 1997, which of course was based on the GoldenEye film. However, while the original game featured Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, this version swaps him out for Daniel Craig, making it feel much more like the modern Bond era in accordance with Quantum of Solace. As for the trophies, the game features 31 story-related trophies, along with an additional 3 tied to its MI6 Ops mode. This mode is basically the game's version of Special Ops from the Modern Warfare games, requiring me to earn stars by completing different challenges, but we'll come back to that later. And for the remaining 17 trophies, well, those were tied to the multiplayer, which the server shut down for in 2020, making the rest of the trophies officially unattainable. But for now though, let's begin with the story trophies. For this game, I'll end up having to do 2 playthroughs. The first on 007 difficulty, which is similar to a typical Call of Duty campaign on Veteran with regenerating health. Then later, I'd have to come back and beat the game on 007 Classic difficulty, which removes regenerating health entirely and instead gives you a set amount of health with health kits and body armor spread across each mission. This style of health system was common in older FPS games, including the original GoldenEye and many other games from that era. And after starting the game and completing the tutorial, which introduced me to combat, stealth, and gadgets, the first mission began and I earned my first trophy.
Welcome to Russia. Thank you.
The story takes place after the events of Quantum of Solace and begins with Bond and 006 infiltrating a chemical weapons facility in Russia that's believed to be supplying a terrorist group responsible for attacks on British embassies across the world. And not long after the mission began, I found and destroyed the first of 50 Janus emblems spread across the game.
Okay. That's one of the emblems. I know there's a whole bunch I need. Emblem Hunter.
And throughout each mission, I had a long list of objectives to complete. First, I needed to find all of the Janus emblems, with around 3 or 4 hidden in most missions. I also had to kill an enemy with all 32 weapons in the game, many of which were found in completely different parts of the campaign. And since I was playing on 007 difficulty, I also had to complete a variety of secondary objectives in each mission, which often took me completely off the main path. So there was a lot more to this playthrough than just finishing the story. And while managing to complete all of my tasks in the first mission, I came across an RPG and got a kill with it.
I got him. Rocket Man.
At the end of the mission, 006 and 007 get surrounded by enemies and we jump off a dam to escape, concluding the mission. This leads us into the next level where we make our way into the weapons facility. Here I surprised and killed an enemy who was in a stall.
Hello. Oh my god, that's crazy. Funny. That's a funny trophy. Royal Flush. Oh my god, I got scared. I thought someone was about to open up.
From here, I needed to make my way to Master Engineering without reinforcements being called in, which means I needed to go through most of this mission without breaking stealth. Because of this, I decided to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and attempt to complete the mission without taking damage, which would also net me another trophy. And by going super slow and being extra cautious, this honestly wasn't bad at all, and I got past all of the guards and to Master Engineering relatively easily.
Nice. Going dark.
Now I needed to complete the last section of the level without taking damage, and there were a few hiccups along the way, but I managed to get out of both situations without being hit. And once getting to the final cutscene where we see 006 get killed by the Russian general, the mission ended and I earned the trophy.
Yes, I am invincible. That's for not getting hit once, which is very, very helpful. I know it took me 31 minutes, but I was going slow and I was moving slow, so I'll take it.
After going back and completing the mission again while also finding all the Janus emblems and completing the secondary objectives, it was time for the final mission in the chapter. After Bond's cover was blown, I now needed to escape the facility. This was a pretty hectic mission, but by going slow and completing the objectives along the way, I finished without much trouble and completed the first chapter of the game.
Let's go. Should give me a trophy for completing that mission. Archangelish Dossier. I know I absolutely butchered that. My bad. So that's for completing those first 3 levels. Pretty fun and very similar to like COD. So I've enjoyed it so far.
The game then shifts to Barcelona, where Bond is tracking down a Russian gangster who has information about a deal between the general who killed 006 and his purchase of a specifically modified helicopter. Once arriving to the gangster's nightclub, I decided to take a break and vibe on the dance floor.
Hey, 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 hey. I'm really dancing. Dance Commander. That's for dancing in the nightclub.
After meeting the gangster, he gets assassinated by a member of the Janus Syndicate and Bond is blamed for the murder. Now I needed to escape the nightclub before it was swarmed by police. While fighting my way out, I found a Wolf 44 revolver and needed to attempt to get 40 kills with it, which was actually easier said than done. The revolver only had 18 bullets and there were just 3 ammo pickups throughout the section, giving me a total of 54 shots. That meant I could only afford to miss a total of 14 shots, but by making my shots count and again going slow, I was able to kill 40 enemies before I escaped.
Here we go, bullet dance.
And once exiting the club, the chapter concluded.
Barcelona Dossier.
Using the gangster's information, Bond tracks the assassins to the arms fair where the helicopter was being held, and while being given a tour, members of the Janus Syndicate attempt to sabotage the fair and steal the helicopter. So after defusing some explosives and saving hostages, I made it to the helicopter, but I was too late, and instead just managed to put a tracking device on it, and after escaping the boat, my time in Dubai was complete.
That was crazy. Dubai Dossier.
Given I literally had no issues with this mission at all, I decided to play it again. As for a trophy, I needed to complete the mission on 007 difficulty in under 11 minutes. And given I just beat the mission in 12 minutes and 13 seconds, while also finding all of the emblems and completing all of the secondary objectives, I knew I could easily trim a minute and 13 seconds off of my time. So I decided to speedrun the mission, and by skipping all the secondary objectives, I easily shattered the 11-minute requirement.
Oh, I should have done that so quick. 7 minutes. Light work. Get to the chopper. That is for beating that level or mission in 11 minutes or under 11 minutes. Did it in 7:47. Very, very easy. Even on 007 difficulty.
In the next mission, Bond tracks the helicopter to Siberia, and here I destroyed the 20th Janus emblem.
It might be 20, I don't know. It was. Emblem Marksman. Those are actually hidden in really good spots.
Eventually, Bond comes across a remote base, which he discovers is actually a tracking system for GoldenEye, a series of orbital nuclear weapons designed to release an electromagnetic pulse to disable targets on impact. As Bond locates the helicopter, the Russian general detonates one of the orbital satellites as a cover-up for the theft. So I now needed to make my way to the facility to see what was really going on. Once inside, I needed to make my way to the server room without reinforcements being called in, and this was substantially harder than the facility mission, with far more enemies packed into tight areas, making stealth a lot more difficult. In the process of attempting to make my way to the server room, I stealthily took out my 30th enemy.
Made you feel it, didn't he? I think that's for subduing 30 enemies. I was wondering when that was gonna pop because I've been doing a ton.
Like I said, this was pretty difficult and took a lot of trial and error, so I just decided to skip the secondary objectives and come back later, and after 30 minutes or so, I finally got to the server room undetected.
Invisible Descent. Oh, I did it. Let's go. That was very difficult. It wasn't horrible. It also wasn't easy.
However, things did not get easier, as this was now probably the most difficult section up to this point, as I needed to survive waves of enemies while an emergency door attempted to open, and this part on 007 difficulty was pretty frustrating.
Why isn't it open? Why the f is it not opening? This is gonna be f***ing hell. Are you f***ing kidding me? This game f***ing sucks.
And even after getting past this section, it did not get easier.
I hope it saved. If it didn't save, I might cry. There's no way.
Eventually, I made my way back to the top of the facility, and near the exit, I ran into a programmer at the facility named Natalia, and we made our escape together when we got caught by the Russian army and were framed for the GoldenEye blast. And while the chapter was finally complete, I still needed to play through the mission again, as I did not find all the emblems and complete the secondary objectives. So after going through the mission again and finding everything I needed, I earned my next trophy.
I saved a minute? Are you kidding me? Server Naya Dossier. That was hard.
The next mission begins with Bond and Natalia being interrogated in St. Petersburg, where the Russian general from earlier, now working with the Janus Syndicate, arrives, assassinates the Russian defense minister, and abducts Natalia. Now I needed to chase after them and escape the military archives. Eventually I got to a server's room and I destroyed all of them in 40 seconds of the first server being damaged to get my next trophy.
I do it. Secret servers, I did.
Eventually, I got to a garage where I hijacked a tank and chased after the general in the streets. During the chase, I was attacked by helicopters, and after shooting 15 down, I got another trophy.
Choppers down. That one's pretty unmissable, I'm not gonna lie.
Thankfully, the chase wasn't too long, and in the next mission, I made it to a rail yard and then a train where I confront both the general and the assassin from earlier. Here, Xena betrays the general and kills him, taking control of the GoldenEye satellite weapon for herself. She then gives the orders to kill me and Natalia, but using my secret agent abilities, I take out the guards and Natalia and Bond escape the train. Outside, Natalia informs Bond that the general was planning a meeting with someone that night, so Bond decides to take his place instead, which leads me to the next mission. Here I needed to get to the meeting point, and after getting past all the enemies, we learned that 006 wasn't actually killed in the first chapter and is now Janus, the head of the Janus crime syndicate and the mastermind behind the GoldenEye theft.
Wait, what?
You're alive. Fire down on those who betrayed him.
He's alive.
Why? I think not.
He's alive. Uh-oh. Eject. Oh my god. Barely. Ooh, it's heating up. St. Petersburg dossier, and now I think I only have one more mission, a couple more levels left to complete.
Now it was time for the final chapter, which takes us to Nigeria. It turns out that 006 was located in a solar energy station here, but as Bond makes his way toward the station, his helicopter gets shot down and I need to traverse my way through a jungle. In the jungle, there were drone guns, and after hacking all 9 and getting 20 kills with them, I got my next trophy.
My god, that thing is going crazy. Okay, friend. I don't know why you wouldn't want to use the drones. Like, that makes things so easy.
Upon escaping the jungle, I get confronted by Xena, and we have a pretty interesting fight to say the least.
Whoa!
We meet again, Mr.
Hey, yo!
This time, I won't fail.
That's, an interesting takedown. Oh, alright, oh. I definitely clicked R2 instead. Okay. Click it! Ooh, she got me in the little sweep there. Okay, why did we just stand still for a second? She's got good martial arts skills here. Ooh. I clicked R2 again. Switching stances. Ooh, oh my god, that kick is insane. And I clicked L2 that time. Ooh, she's got crazy takedowns. And again, she's got
Enjoy your
so
day,
freaky.
Mr. Bond.
Oh, wow. Roller. I would have rolled her. Hit her head on it. Come on. Oh, there you go. Oh no. She's gonna go flying though. She's a Taj. How is she not going flying yet? Oh my god. Oh, of course. No! She's not that strong. Kick her!
This time, it's on me.
That was crazy. Oh yeah, she's definitely not surviving that. No chance. After defeating Xena, the mission ends and we make our way to the solar plant. Here I fought my way through the station until Bond gives himself up and is taken to 006. This marked the final mission and it was definitely one of the tougher ones. It turns out 006 planned to steal billions of dollars from London's banks and wipe out all financial records using the second GoldenEye satellite, erasing all evidence of the theft. The first part of the mission has me defending Natalia 3 separate times while she tries to disable the GoldenEye orbital system. This wasn't easy as waves of enemies constantly converged on our positions in long bursts. When she was done, I then had to chase down 006 as he made his way to the top of the satellite array to protect the override module that would finally bring the system down, and I needed to get to him in under 4 minutes, so I couldn't afford to go slow, which made things a bit difficult. Hard. Damn. What is going on? Like, what the hell is that? Super frustrating. Like, actually, why does he keep on running? I'm hitting him from behind. I don't know how. Am I dead? They keep on getting under me. Around this time is where I found the 32nd and final weapon in the game, as well as the 50th and final Janus emblem. Alright, I think if I get a kill with this, I should get a trophy for killing an enemy with every single weapon. Or not. Is that the trophy? I don't know. Yes, Master at Arms. That's for getting a kill with every single weapon. I don't like this. Here it is, the final one. I think there's 50 in total. Thank God. Looking for those is actually one of the most painful things. They're all hidden very well. Thankfully, I had a guide. Emblem Elite. My goodness, that was, again, not fun at all. Once getting to 006, we had a short QuickTime event fight scene where he got away again. I then chased him to an open area where it felt like he was practically invincible. To make things worse, more enemies and even a helicopter were all attempting to kill me as well. But after holding all of them off, I managed to overload the facility control room, causing the entire facility to crumble, and here we had one last fight. Now we're fighting with pipes. Good kick. Ooh. I misclicked again. Oh! Stop it! Oh wow, fast typer. I would have misclicked for sure. Oh, he's still alive!
For England, James.
No. For me.
Boom him. Oh, I tap. See ya. Are they good or bad? Oh no, they're chilling. Oh. Oh. Oh my god. That's insane. Let's go. That was really difficult and frustrating and annoying. All of the above. 007. That's for beating the game and getting all the objectives on 007 difficulty. Agent, another one, and Operative. Both are difficulty trophies that, of course, popped because I completed them on a harder difficulty. And then the last one, Nigeria, Dossier. Let's go.
However, even after completing 007 difficulty, there were still a few more things to do before starting the 007 Classic playthrough. Remember earlier when I had to beat Carrier in under a time limit? Well, I still had 3 more time trial style missions to complete on specific difficulties. The first was Airfield, which required me to finish the level in under 4 minutes and 35 seconds on 007 Classic difficulty. If you remember this mission, you'll know it's extremely chaotic with enemies everywhere, so I had to prioritizing finding armor to survive. Surprisingly though, it wasn't too bad as I basically just ran past most of the enemies and made a beeline for the end.
Sub 4, come on, give it to me. Oh, I thought I did not get it. I think 35 is what I needed. Haven't got 9 minutes. I'm actually shocked it took that long. I feel like I was very, very fast, but it's alright.
Next, I needed to complete Archives in under 15 minutes and 10 seconds on Agent difficulty, the second easiest difficulty in the game. Because I had the privilege of playing on an easier difficulty, I could again pretty much run past all the gunfights and complete this time trial with ease.
That's gotta be that's gonna be pretty fast, I don't think. It's gonna be a close call, hopefully. 11, yeah. That should give me the trophy. Russian Escape. Again, that was pretty easy, especially given the fact that they want you to do it on Agent. Light work.
Last but not least, I still had one final challenge, completing Solar in under 13 minutes on 007 Classic difficulty, and while that might sound difficult, it was actually the easiest of the 4 time trials, as the time limit was extremely generous. Realistically, you could play this level and still finish it under 15 minutes without even trying. Thankfully, there was also plenty of armor scattered around the map, so I had no real issues at all making it through and finishing the final time trial.
Is it done? Did I do it? Wow, 9:57. Way faster than I thought. Solar Agitated. Let's go.
Now it was time to replay the story and complete all the secondary objectives on 007 Classic difficulty, and I quickly realized that this might actually be easier than playing on standard 007 difficulty. On Classic, you can take a lot more damage because you can recover health through pickups like medkits and body armor, whereas on standard 007 difficulty, health regenerates, so a few consecutive hits can quickly lead to your death if you don't back off in time. On Classic, I basically felt like a bullet sponge, which made the tougher sections much easier to push through. And in the second mission facility, I even managed to complete it without picking up armor, which earned me a trophy.
There we go, another one down. Dress to Kill, that is for completing that mission without using body armor on 007 Classic difficulty. Very easy.
I continued working my way through the story until I reached the final boss battle with 006, and this was definitely one of, if not the hardest section on 007 Classic difficulty, as once you're locked into the final area, the armor you have is all you get. So I had to play very conservatively while also avoiding both enemies and the helicopter. My strategy was basically to hide in a corner and let the enemies come to me, since 006 followed a set path and didn't really push in. After holding them off long enough, I rushed to the door and triggered the final fight.
Oh my god! Oh my god, I did it first try! Oh my god, I got in there with literally probably half of my last health bar. Oh my god. That was insane. Here we go.
For England, James.
For England, James.
No,
For me.
for me.
Boom him. Hey, too slow. Yeah. Let's go. You can hear my heart beating in the game because I had 50% health left. And the final trophy of the campaign. Classic. That is for completing the entire campaign on 007 Classic difficulty, while also completing the side objectives. And I did that in about 4 hours. So very easy. It took me 9 hours to get all the emblems and all the side objectives to just beat the game on 007 regular difficulty. So definitely substantially easier than 007 in my opinion.
Now that 007 Classic was completed, all that was left was to complete the MI6 Ops challenges. There are a total of 11 MI6 Ops to complete, with each mission awarding up to 4 stars depending on your final score. The missions are split into 4 types: 4 elimination, 3 defense, 3 stealth, and 1 assault. Unfortunately, there's no exact formula for earning 4 stars. It mainly comes down to your completion time and the modifiers you choose, such as increasing enemy health, accuracy, and aggression, or lowering player health. This means a faster run on a lower difficulty can sometimes score the same as a slower run on a harder one, and in order to unlock the final 3 trophies, I needed to earn 4 stars in all 11 missions for a total of 44 stars overall. After finding some forums online and finding what worked for others, I got 4 stars in 3 of the 11 missions.
That's all of them, 007.
Did I get 4? I have no clue. Yes, 4 stars.
That was the last one.
Oh my
007.
god, I was gonna say,
Good work.
if that's not 4 stars, I'm gonna be very upset. That took it felt like way longer than 10 minutes. That might be the last one?
Good work, 007. You've accomplished the objective.
Let's go. MI6 Ops Recruit. That is for getting, I believe, 10 stars, as it says on the little logo right there.
However, instead of continuing playing missions, I also wanted to showcase everything the game had to offer, and as a nod to the older Bond games, there was a cheat menu that allowed you to enter a cheat code and unlock all stars. So instead of going through the pain of figuring out the perfect strategy for each mission, I used an in-game cheat code to unlock 4 stars in each mission. However, the trophy for earning 25 stars was the only trophy that popped.
MI6 Ops Specialist.
So I played one more mission, earned another 4 stars, which finally unlocked the final trophy in GoldenEye 007 Reloaded.
MI6 Ops Elite. Again, I wanted to showcase both the difficulty that this mode provides, as well as the fact that this game also has cheats, which, I mean, both can be utilized. You can get some of these done and then use the cheat for others, like I did. But yeah, this is a cool game. Awful mode. Definitely would never come back to this ever again. I'd come back to the regular game. I would never come back to this mode though. Awful.
GoldenEye 007 Reloaded absolutely exceeded my expectations. Having never played the original, I had no idea what to expect, but I honestly really enjoyed my time with it, especially on 007 Classic difficulty. The story was pretty interesting, there were a lot of cool locations, and the gunplay felt really solid. At times, it felt a lot like a Call of Duty game, which made the gameplay feel instantly familiar. I also ended up enjoying this game way more than Quantum of Solace, which I honestly did not expect at all. The trophies were a good mix of collectibles and miscellaneous challenges, which kept things fresh and engaging throughout. There were of course some hard sections, but nothing compared to some of the other games I played on this channel. So overall, I definitely recommend playing this game if you haven't already. While recording this video, I found out that the original GoldenEye 007 had been remastered and released on Xbox in 2023 by Rare Ltd as part of the Rare Replay bundle, which brought a collection of classic games to the Xbox. So of course, I knew I couldn't leave this one out. The remaster features updated controls, improved resolution, and a modern widescreen aspect ratio, bringing the classic N64 shooter up to today's standards while keeping its original feel. It also features 51 achievements covering everything from story progression and time trials to multiplayer. This became an unexpected but perfect addition to the list, so let's jump back to 1997. Starting with single player, the game features 20 missions, spread across 3 difficulties. In order to earn all of the achievements, I would need to complete every mission on each difficulty. So my plan was to start on Agent difficulty and then replay each mission on the 2 higher difficulties afterward, rather than playing through the entire game 3 separate times. Also, each level had its own time trial challenge that required me to beat the mission within a certain time limit on a specific difficulty. Completing these would unlock cheats, just like in the original N64 version, and as the difficulty increased, more secondary objectives would need to be completed in order to unlock the next level, which made things a bit more difficult. So to keep things moving, I'm mostly going to focus on the time trials and their achievements rather than the story, since it's pretty much the same as GoldenEye Reloaded. So without further ado, let's get into the first mission, Damn, and after completing it on Agent difficulty, I got my first achievement.
Oh god. Let's go. Run. You completed Damn on any difficulty. That was fun.
On Dam, I needed to complete the level on Secret Agent, the game's medium difficulty, in 2 minutes and 40 seconds or less. From the beginning, I immediately ran past most enemies and avoided as much gunfire as possible, which made this one pretty easy.
Keep going. Keep it pushing. That was definitely 240. There we go. Splash damage. You unlocked paintball mode by completing Dam on Secret Agent difficulty. It was pretty easy.
Next, it was time for Facility, and if you are familiar with the Facility speedrun in the original N64, then you know that it's one of, if not the toughest in the game. So much so that the achievement itself for beating the level for the first time is called,
Now try gunning for 205. You completed Facility on any difficulty. 205 on the hardest difficulty is going to be very difficult.
What made this speedrun so difficult is that it had to be completed on the hardest difficulty, 00 Agent, and there was a lot of RNG in the mission, so a lot of things had to go right in order to complete this level, as the time limit was ridiculously strict, as you needed to complete the level in under 2 minutes and 5 seconds. Also, if you didn't realize, there were no checkpoints, which shouldn't really be a surprise if you've ever played old games like this one, so yeah, this one took forever, 40 minutes to be exact.
How are you still alive? I don't understand. Oof. They hit so hard. Zigzag. Zigzag. Okay. I went the wrong way. No, I went the wrong way.
This is doable though.
Where is he? I don't know where he is. I didn't know where he was. That sold me.
And I couldn't, it's doable. It's definitely doable. I know the strat now.
Where's he at? Hey,
For England.
did I do it? I think I maybe... I talked to him! I talked to him!
That's so dumb. That's so dumb.
For England. I think I did it.
How? This is getting crazy. I need to check it. I need to check it before I do that. This is getting ridiculous.
Double clicked it accidentally. That's not ideal. Not ideal that I don't have any ammo either, so not gonna be good. And here I don't actually take that many hits from what I remember. I see him. I need to go. It's gonna be ridiculously close because this dude's gonna be on my butt. I might die. For England. For England. Alright, I appear to have done everything. Did I do it? Did I do it? Yes! I am invincible. My god, that was awful. It probably took me 40 minutes. I'd done it like 20 seconds faster than that earlier too. I had only talking to 006. Thank God that's over. I'm glad that's over.
With facility out of the way, it was time for runway, and the challenge here was to beat the level on agent in 5 minutes or less, which I was able to do on my first try without any difficulty.
Alright, that one's by far the easiest, if that's the end of the mission. And it is 37 seconds. Why is the target 5 minutes for the cheat? But last mission was, what, 2? That's ridiculous. That's actually so dumb. Chest pounding goodness. You unlock DK mode by completing runway on agent in under 5 minutes. That's awful. That genuinely makes no sense. And fly away, and that's for completing runway on any difficulty. Nice little double pop there.
Next, I easily completed Surface 1.
Alright, that was pretty easy. Dual wielding. You completed Surface 1 on any difficulty.
Then I managed to complete it on Secret Agent in 3 minutes and 30 seconds or less.
308. Let's go. The Art of Boom. You unlock 2 times grenade launchers by completing Surface 1 on Secret Agent difficulty. Let's go.
Things continued to go pretty smooth on Bunker.
Alright, that was pretty easy. Shooting cameras. Completed Bunker 1 on any difficulty.
For Bunker's time trial, I needed to complete it on 00 Agent in 4 minutes or less, and this was pretty difficult as there were a lot of side objectives, but by being cautious with my health, I managed to get it done in only a few tries.
Come on. Did I do it? Yes! That was my quickest one yet. Who needs stealth? Not I. You unlock 2 times rocket launchers by completing Bunker on 007 or 00 Agent difficulty. I was like just pushing 4 in all my other runs, so that was good.
And on Silo is where I saw the difficulty begin to increase, but not necessarily on the time trial, as I needed to complete this level on Agent in under 3 minutes.
Let's go. With 11 seconds to spare. Booster. You unlock turbo mode by completing silo on agent. Let's go. To begin one more. Old school rockets. You completed silo on any difficulty.
While the time trial wasn't difficult at all due to it being on a lower difficulty and there only being a few objectives, trying to get past the level normally on 00 Agent was absolutely hell. There were a bunch of tricky objectives and a shit ton of enemies, even more so than facilities, so my strategy was to spray and pray, which was pretty effective all things considered given the lack of ammo on 00 Agent difficulty. Thankfully, there was also armor on the map, which definitely helped, but still, after a ton of tries, I got past Silo 1 and it was time for Frigate. Thankfully, this mission was a step down, and I really had no issues at all, and this level's music was so fire.
This song goes crazy. Calm Seas. You completed Frigate on any difficulty.
And after completing it on Secret Agent in under 4 minutes and 30 seconds, another speedrun was down.
I don't know if I did that in time. For 4:30? Maybe. Yes! Screen Cleaner. Or Screen Cheater. I can't even read. You unlocked no radar by completing Frigate on Secret Agent in 4:30 or less. Pretty easy. Barely got hurt.
Surface 2, like 1, was not bad at all, even on 00 Agent, which required me to finish it under 4 minutes and 15 seconds.
Oh! Uh-oh. Back Again Part 1. You completed Surface 2 on any difficulty. Very, very easy. I don't think I even took damage. It's very weird playing a game with no dialogue and just straight music. It's a different vibe. It's cool. Weird though. Yep. Everyone is odd. You unlock Tiny Bond by completing Surface 2 on 00 Agent mode. Let's go.
Onto Bunker 2, I was able to complete it on Agent in under 1 minute and 30 seconds on my first try.
I think I did it that time. Let's go. Less than a minute. Target acquired. You unlock 2 times throwing knives by completing Bunker 2. And back again, part 2. You completed Bunker 2 on any difficulty.
And up to this point, nothing had really been all that painful. That was until I reached Bunker 2 on 00 Agent. There were what felt like hundreds and thousands of enemies constantly converging on my location throughout the entire mission. So my strategy was to basically spray and pray while also locking myself inside a room, and every time an enemy pushed through the door, I'd kill them and take their ammo, since ammunition was extremely limited on 00 Agent, and my god, this was not fun.
Bed. Just come on in, guys. Come on. Just kill me, guys.
Why is there so many?
This is insane. Whoever made this mission is an awful human being. I don't care. They actually are terrible.
But eventually my strategy finally worked and I managed to clear out all of the enemies. This gave me a chance to roam the level freely, complete the objective stress-free, and finally move on to the next mission, Statue Park. And at first glance, this mission looked pretty easy, as you barely even need to fire a few shots throughout the entire level.
For England. Oh, how long was that? That didn't seem too long. A walk in the park. You completed Statue Park on any difficulty.
However, for the speedrun on Secret Agent, I needed to complete it in under 3 minutes and 15 seconds. And while that doesn't sound too bad, there were 2 sections where I was forced to sit through dialogue, which burned precious seconds off the clock. On top of that, there was also RNG involved at the end of the mission, as I needed to collect a box that could randomly spawn in 3 different locations. So not only did I need to move quickly, I also needed good luck with the box spawn, and I was not having much success at all in my initial tries.
I think that might be way longer than 4. And I need 315, so the box did not help. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Come on. I don't know if I did that in 315. That seemed very long. 315 is crazy. How am I supposed to save time? 5 seconds off that? That's tough. I don't know if I got it. How did I get 21 before? Oh my god, I only cut off 1 second.
Earlier, before starting the game, I remapped my D-pad so I could strafe, which actually let me move faster than using the left stick normally. And after finally starting to utilize strafing properly, I managed to complete this simple yet extremely painful speedrun.
How you doing? How you doing, buddy? Yes! Let's go. Oh, that was hard. Here they come. You unlocked fast animation by completing statue on Secret Agent difficulty. That one, did not expect that to be that hard. That took quite a while. A lot more than I would have liked. So, it's over. That's halfway done with the game now. Thank God. This game is tough.
On to Archives. This mission on Agent was pretty easy.
Okay. Pretty easy. A lot of doors and stuff, but not terrible. Interrogate this. You completed Archives on any difficulty. Like I said, not too bad.
The speedrun, however, was a bit tricky as again, dialogue and RNG was involved with enemy spawns, but after a few tries, I finally got lucky and completed Archives on 00 Agent in under 1 minute and 20 seconds.
I don't know. That was close. That was good. Yes! By 1 second. Oh my god. Let's go. Cheater. You unlocked invisibility by completing Archives on 00 Agent difficulty. That was one of the tougher ones. It was, again, it's very luck-based, which is kind of unfortunate, but I got it done. It didn't take nearly as many tries as some of the other ones, which was good, thankfully.
The streets level continued the streak of easy and simple missions, and I got it done pretty fast.
I definitely did not do that in 145. Ooh. Yeah. It's a little bit tough. I had no idea where to go. Hank. You completed streets on any difficulty. Now I gotta do it again. Alright, that should be it. Unless the civilian died, but I hope not. There we go. Pretty easy. 10 seconds to spare. Duck. You unlocked enemy rockets by completing streets on Agent. Let's go.
Depot was not bad at all either.
Okay, that was ridiculously easy. Brief Dispute. Complete Depot on any difficulty.
And on Secret Agent, I finished the level in under 1 minute and 40 seconds.
I don't know if that was sub 40, 140, excuse me. 137, I'll take it. So much drama. You unlocked slow animation by completing Depot on Secret Agent.
Train was actually a pretty fun mission and didn't give me many problems.
Nice. How long is this train? You completed train on any difficulty.
Typically, 00 Agent speedruns have been tough, but this one, even though it was a bit longer, wasn't bad at all, and I completed it in under 5 minutes and 25 seconds.
Should be it. Let's go. First try. Ooh, just got it. End was super sketchy. That's the first time anyone's even come into that room at that time. A silver lining. You unlock silver PP7 by completing train on 00 Agent.
On Jungle, I completed the level for the first time and the speedrun in one go.
Okay. The speedrun I have to run. Should be it. So much time to spare. Double cut. You unlock 2x hunting knives by completing Jungle on Agent. And I should be getting another one. In the deep jungle. You completed Jungle on any difficulty. Again, super easy. It's one of the easier ones, and apparently they give you body armor on all 3 difficulties.
And on Control is when things got a tad difficult, not necessarily because of the amount of enemies or lack of ammo, but because the mission itself was super long, so any late mistakes could kill the run and force me to reset. But on Agent difficulty, it wasn't nearly as bad as some of the other levels.
Nice, that was a long one. Hello, Mr. Bond. You've completed Control on any difficulty.
The same goes for the Secret Agent speedrun, which required me to beat this level in under 10 minutes. Given I had a lot of time to work with, I stayed pretty cautious, especially during the defense sequence, but overall this one wasn't awful.
Oh! I think I should have gotten that under 10. Yeah, 835. Who's counting? You unlocked infinite ammo by completing Control on Secret Agent.
However, it was definitely a bit tricky on 00 Agent. Thankfully, I didn't have time working against me, but given there were turrets and powerful enemies, I needed to conserve my health. Thankfully, there was armor available, but making it to the end was definitely a close call.
No! Give me in! Oh my god. Oh my god. That was horrific. That was very scary. I almost did not get there in time. Ooh, I did not like that.
Next was Caverns, which I beat easily on Agent.
Nice. I think I can do this. It might be a little difficult, but I think I can do it. Plenty of time. I know it's here somewhere. You completed Caverns on any difficulty.
However, the Cavern speedrun was probably the most annoying of them all. Here, I needed to complete the level on 00 Agent in under 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Since it was a longer mission on the hardest difficulty, there were far more objectives to complete, but the real problem came right at the end of the level. 2 of the final objectives required me to use a radio and destroy a control panel, both of which were surrounded by enemies and explosives. If the radio was destroyed, I would fail, and to make things even worse, there were also 2 scientists scientists in the area who both needed to survive. So countless times I'd have a perfect run going, only for everything to completely fall apart during the final section.
Alright. I did not want to lose any health there. I did, unfortunately, which is going to make this last part a little bit difficult, unfortunately. No! I get hit from behind? No, I think it was just in front. Damn. Time to go. Okay, so I literally have to go because people are coming from behind me. Okay, whatever. Now I know. Like, actually, what are they doing? That's the first time they've stayed in there.
This, like the facility speedrun, took me about 45 minutes to complete.
Oh, wait. I'm gonna have to shoot. I don't know if I did that 9:30. Yes! Oh my god. That took so many tries. And it wasn't even like difficult either. It was the sheer fact that the scientists would get in the way, things would explode. I didn't even die that much. Better than 2 blobs. You unlock 2 times RCP-90s for completing caverns on 00 Agent. Oh my god.
Now it was time for the final mission of the main story, Cradle, and its speedrun was thankfully a breeze, requiring me to complete the level on Agent in 2 minutes and 15 seconds or less, and after doing this I got 3 achievements.
No, for England. No, for me. That should be below 215, I'd assume. Nice. The Cradle will fall. You completed Cradle on any difficulty. Welcome back, 007. That is for completing the GoldenEye story on any difficulty. Should get another one here. Best in class. That is for unlocking the gold PP7 by completing Cradle on Agent in under 215. Pretty easy.
Completing the level on Secret Agent also gave me the achievement for completing every previous mission on the Secret Agent difficulty.
Alright. Are you serious? Are you like actually serious? Does that count? Loyal to the mission. You complete GoldenEye story on Secret Agent difficulty. Did I though? Did that actually count? Oh, it did count. That is, I got lucky, bro. Oh my god.
And of course, last but not least, was to complete the level on 00 Agent difficulty.
From England. No, for me. There we go, 00 Agent done. Oh my goodness. Thank God. I didn't even get that cutscene for the second one. That's so funny. And it still counted, so I'll take it. 2 minutes? That was my quickest one, I think. Bond. James Bond. You completed GoldenEye story on 00 Agent difficulty. Kind of difficult at times. Fun. Annoying. All of the above, so it was kind of worth it.
While the main story was over, completing every mission on each difficulty unlocked a special bonus level. This level was called Aztec, which is notorious for being one of, if not the hardest levels in the game, and of course it had a time trial attached, which required me to complete it in under 9 minutes on Secret Agent. And honestly, I didn't find this one too difficult, other than the fact that there are a ton of steps in order to complete all of the objectives, and I completed the speedrun relatively easily.
I do it. Yes! That music though. Music was fire. You completed Aztec on any difficulty and double zap. You unlock 2 times lasers by completing Aztec on Secret Agent.
Even though I didn't have to complete Aztec on all 3 difficulties, I did need to complete it on 00 Agent in order to unlock the final bonus level, and to my surprise, I was able to complete it on my very first try.
Whoa. This is it. We're good. First try. Whew. I was not looking forward to doing this at all. Let's go. Let's go. First try. Did not think I was going to do that first try. Oh my god. Horrifying. Horrific. Scary. All of the above.
With Aztec being complete, Egyptian was available to play, and here I simply needed to beat it on 00 Agent in under 6 minutes. Following a guide with steps to unlock the golden gun, I completed Egyptian with ease and unlocked my final single player achievements.
Yes. First try. Is he dead? He's dead now. Let's go. The final mission, first try. It's pretty easy. It's fun. Nice little puzzle. Nice little boss battle. Got a little bit of ore to him. The music's awesome. Oh, he's still coming. Okay, it's over. I was scared I had to do more. More than enough time. 3 minutes to spare. The final achievements here. 1 shot, 1 kill. You unlocked golden gun by completing Egyptian and full arsenal. That's for unlocking all guns by completing Egyptian on 007. So the first one is actually just completing it. Second one is for 007. Oh no, there we go. I have no idea what's going on. A bunch of achievements popping. Can't even read them. But yeah, those were the last 3 that were needed for the story. And my god, this was an insane story. Very difficult. I had to play almost every single mission and level 3 times besides these last 2. But yeah, there you go. All of them have been complete.
With the stress of single player out of the way, all I needed to do was earn the multiplayer achievements, and thankfully this game did not have an online multiplayer, but instead local only, which allowed me to earn the final 11 achievements using split screen.
Apologies, this is gonna look really bad because I don't have a second controller. Slapstick comedy. You played a match, slappers only on Complex and License to Kill. Got another one. Unusual work. That's for playing as Odd Job in a multiplayer match. Now I need to kill the other player, which I'm having trouble finding. There we go. That's for unheroic. That's for killing a player while they were unarmed. A Treehouse Classic. You played a match, Remote Mines on Complex. Another one, multi-streak. You played 5 back-to-back multiplayer matches. There we go. That's playing by the rules, and that is for completing each type of multiplayer scenario at least once. Decimated. You played 10 multiplayer matches. Should use a guide. You earn the mostly harmless multiplayer award. I have no idea what that means. You branch specialist. You played a multiplayer match using every weapon set. World Tour. You played a multiplayer match on every map. Now I think I have to get 100 kills, which may take a little bit. Should only need like 1 more, 2 more, maybe. That it? There it is. License to Kill. You scored 100 kills in multiplayer matches over time. Very easy. Probably took like 20 minutes. But yeah, that's it for the 007 GoldenEye 100%. All 55 achievements have been earned.
Playing GoldenEye 007 for the first time was a fairly humbling experience. While I grew up playing games like Duke Nukem and other titles from this era, I did not expect just how tedious it would be to play every level 3 times, especially as it only got harder the further I progressed. There were definitely some tough difficulty spikes along the way, but I tried to keep it fun, especially knowing it's an older game with old mechanics, and a lot of it comes down to trial and error and even luck at times. The speedruns ended up being some of the most enjoyable parts, especially on 00 Agent, which felt very rewarding to complete. And while there was no voice acting in the game, the unique music on each level absolutely made up for it, because some of the songs were absolutely fire.
This song goes crazy. The music's awesome.
I also really appreciated that this version was brought to Xbox, giving people like me a chance to experience it for the first time while also working towards achievements along the way. In total, this game took around 14 hours to complete, and overall it was a great experience. Of course, it hasn't aged perfectly, but it's easy to see how much of an impact it had on other games that came after it. Also, compared to GoldenEye 007 Reloaded, there are some notable differences in the story and structure, so if you'd like to see a full, more in-depth video on this game and its story, let me know in the comments. With that being said, if you have an Xbox, I definitely recommend giving this game a try.
You give up your secrets. Sooner or later, they all do.
007 Bloodstone was the second Bond game released on PS3 and Xbox 360, published by Activision and released in 2010. The game is a third-person shooter heavily inspired by titles like Uncharted and Gears of War, while also including stealth elements similar to Splinter Cell Conviction. The story takes place sometime after 007 Quantum of Solace, continuing the Daniel Craig-era Bond storyline. In terms of trophies, the game features a strong mix of collectibles, miscellaneous, and story-based trophies. There are 40 trophies in single player, with the remaining 11 tied to multiplayer, although those servers were shut down in 2020, making them no longer obtainable. So let's get into it. Like the previous games, I would need to beat Bloodstone on 007 difficulty, the hardest in the game. However, this difficulty was unlocked only after completing the story on a lower difficulty, so I decided to make things easier for myself and complete my first playthrough on Recruit. The first mission, called Athens, has Bond tasked with stopping Greco, an international terrorist and arms dealer planning an attack on a G20 summit being held at the Acropolis in Athens. Upon getting on his yacht, I shot another boat close by.
Apparently, I have to shoot this boat for a trophy. Oh, it wobbled. Greek tragedy.
Then I performed 3 takedowns in 10 seconds.
Come on, that has to count. Melee master. I don't know why that didn't count before, but you know, I'll take it.
After that, I reloaded the checkpoint and utilized the brand new focus aim mechanic right after getting a takedown.
That has to count too, come on. Sharp instrument. Thank you. I don't know why that didn't count the many times I tried before, but they did now, so let's go.
Upon getting to Greco's room, he makes a run for a speedboat and I have to chase after him. Unlike the other Bond games, you actually had the chance to operate vehicles in this one, which was pretty cool. And after a short boat chase, I then followed him into a mansion. Eventually, I made it to a parking lot where I performed a chain of 3 focus kills in one go.
That should give me a trophy. 3 birds, 1 bloodstone. Let's go.
Here, I also destroyed all of the cars.
Alright, that should give me a trophy. No valet required.
After catching up to Greco, an SUV with a bomb in it tried to get away, so here there was another chase section, and after stopping the SUV, I saved the Acropolis and completed the first chapter of the game. But first, I got a trophy for only using the P99 pistol throughout the entirety of the mission.
Honestly,
Professional killer.
yes.
I think that's
How
for
did you
using
know?
the pistol the entire mission.
Intuition.
And fireworks at the party.
After stopping the attack, Bond is given a new assignment involving a biological engineer who was presumed dead after his boat was found capsized at sea. However, after a phone call connected to the scientist is traced to Turkey, Bond is sent to investigate whether he's actually still alive. Once arriving to a construction site, I make it past the guards and find my first few pieces of intel. There are 50 in total throughout the entire game. Once investigating the foreman's office, my cover was blown and the container I was in was dropped into a pit. However, I was thankfully able to escape in time and attempted to make my way to the signal of the scientist's phone. Once I got past the guards on the surface, I entered the tunnels and needed to find a way into the catacombs. After deciding to utilize a train, I realigned its track points, and when reinforcements came to try and stop me, I shot down their elevator to get my next trophy.
Alright, I think if I shoot this, we get a trophy. Going down.
Eventually, I made it to the catacombs where I reached the engineer's phone, but it was still on the move. While chasing after it, I found the final piece of intel in the chapter.
Full recon. I think that's for getting all the intel in a mission, but I don't know how this dude is walking on nothing.
Once catching up to the phone's location, Bond overhears the scientist giving a series of codes to an unknown man before being killed just before Bond can intervene. This then leads into another chase sequence, which turned out to be one of the hardest parts of the entire game. Not necessarily because of the chase itself, but because of the trophy tied to it, which required me to finish the section in under 2 minutes and 59 seconds. And to even get close to that time, you needed a near flawless run. You couldn't afford to crash, lose momentum, or get turned around. Thankfully, hitting walls would sometimes kind of bounce you forward, but if you hit something too hard, the run was basically over. There were also scripted events throughout the chase, including enemy cars that would actually give you a speed boost if they hit you correctly, along with several hazards that you needed to memorize and avoid. So this was definitely one of those trophies that was almost impossible to get on a first attempt, since you really needed to learn the entire route and all of these scripted events before you even stood a chance. And unsurprisingly, this took me quite a while.
We out, we out, we out, we out, we out. Push me. Push me. Yes.
I gotta figure out how to do that part better.
You have him on satellite.
Well, that's a proper.
007, which location? Tracking him.
Help me.
Yes. I mean, I guess.
He's pulled a U-turn in the tunnel. Where's he heading?
There's a chance. A very little chance. But a chance nonetheless.
He's left the dock area, Tanner. Can you see where he's going? He's headed east, 007. Due east.
Yes! Speedrun, oh my god. That was tough. Like, you actually have to be perfect there in order to get that. My god. Oof. That was tough. That was an immediate pop too, I'm shocked. Thank god.
After crashing the car, I continued my chase after the man, and once finally catching up to him, he tells us that he was hired to interrogate the scientist by a man named Pomerov.
Please.
Try, buddy.
You got that right.
Alright, another mission down.
The researcher is dead.
Turkish Delight.
Bond tracks Pomerov to one of his casinos, where we attempt to infiltrate it with the help of MI6 agent Nicole Hunter. While slipping past the guards, I encountered a camera and learned how to hack and override it, which earned me my next trophy for completing the final tutorial section.
00 status.
After hacking 2 more cameras, I got another trophy.
1984.
Eventually, I got past all the guards outside and made it inside the casino unnoticed.
Sneaky Gardener. It was pretty easy. A lot easier than I would have thought.
While Nicole distracted Pomerov, Bond sneaks into his office and opens his safe, discovering incriminating evidence linking him to the scientist's kidnapping and the development of weaponized biological agents. However, during the search, an alarm is triggered and I now needed to fight my way out of the casino. Once escaping, the chapter concluded and I earned my next trophy.
Payout. That was a fun chapter. It's pretty quick. It only had one chapter, didn't have any sub-chapters.
Again, using Nicole as cover, Bond heads to a facility in Siberia to investigate whether Pomerov is actually developing weapons of mass destruction. After infiltrating the facility and finding out that Pomerov is indeed developing these weapons, Bond is tasked with destroying the facility altogether. Once finding the facility's main terminal, I had to hold out against waves of enemies for several minutes straight. Even on recruit difficulty, this was still one of the toughest sections in the game, so I was not looking forward to this section on 007 difficulty, and right after defending the terminal, I managed to eliminate 100 enemies using blind fire.
Here we go. That's 100, I think. Blind Fury.
And after overriding the coolant and exhaust systems, I needed to make my escape. Once holding out until Nicole could pick me up, we got in her car and chased after Pomerov. This chase sequence also had another trophy attached, which required me to complete the section without releasing the accelerator, meaning I could not use the brakes at all. This sounds difficult, but in all honesty, it wasn't too bad, as even if you hit something and still held down the gas, it would still count. And after making it onto Pomerov's train, I got the trophy.
Pedal to the metal. I did. Wow. Kind of surprised. That was tough. I'm glad you could hit stuff and still continue going, and that still counted.
From here, we got onto a hovercraft and chased after Pomerov, who was in a plane. During this section, I took control of an anti-missile turret and managed to shoot down all of the missiles fired by Pomerov's plane.
This is so annoying. I'm glad there's not vibration.
Going after Pomerov.
They do it.
Keep us steady.
Air defense. Let's go. That one wasn't too bad. It was long, but it wasn't bad.
After shooting out its engines, I climbed aboard and took Pomerov out for good.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Change of plans.
Good morning.
Ice cold. That was a pretty hectic chapter. A lot of explosions, a lot of vibrations, a lot of gunfight. It was fun though.
While Pomerov had been eliminated, it soon becomes clear that the mission isn't over. Bond realizes a third party must have tipped off MI6 about Istanbul, as the scientist couldn't have made the calls while he was imprisoned. This leads Bond to Bangkok, where he meets with Colonel Ping, who is bound to reveal all. However, before anything can be uncovered, assassins arrive, kill the officer, and Bond is forced to chase after the assassin. This chase takes Bond across the rooftops until we finally catch up to the assassin. Here he explains that he works for a man named Rack. The assassin then manages to get away again, and another chase scene begins. This one was pretty crazy and bizarre, as he was in a huge dump truck while I was in a tow truck destroying everything in his path.
The vibration in this game is genuinely insane. Maybe like the craziest in any game I've ever played. My entire wrist is like numb. This is the longest chase scene of all time. There's no need for this to be this long. The infrastructure is terrible. I mean, granted, this thing probably isn't street legal, but... Poor bus driver. He's dead. Did anyone survive?
Eventually, he crashes and dies, but now the police were after me because of the immense property damage that was caused during the chase. After taking down one of the policemen, I stole his taser and used the stun gun on 5 other policemen.
This should get me the trophy here. Right, okay. Shocking. That is for using the stun gun to, I guess, incapacitate 5 of the police officers.
After escaping the police, Bond tracks down an old acquaintance who may know Rack's whereabouts. It turns out he did and provides Bond with Rack's location in Bangkok, but Bond's acquaintance double-crosses him and informs Rack that Bond is on his way. While making my way to Rack, I found a fruit bowl. Throughout the playthrough, I had already destroyed 4 others in earlier missions, and in order to earn a trophy, I needed to destroy all 5 within 24 real-life hours. So after finding the final fruit bowl here, I unlocked this very goofy trophy.
Alright, I think this is the last fruit bowl here, which should pop a trophy. 5 a day. That's for finding 5 random fruit bowls across the game and breaking the glass that they were in a 24-hour span. That might be one of the most random trophies I've ever seen, especially in a game like this. Fun though, it's goofy. I like it. I like those types of trophies. I'm not mad at it. On my way to Rack's boathouse, I killed my 80th enemy using focus. Here we go. Focus killer. That one, again, is pretty easy. I'm definitely going to have to utilize in focus so much during my 007 playthrough. Once I reached the boathouse, I finally found Rack and chased him down. However, as his reinforcements arrived, Rack manages to stab me with a tranquilizer and I end up getting captured. Down, but not out. It turns out Bond had been taken to Burma. There, Rack prepares to torture him with a jewel-encrusted knife, but is suddenly called away to deal with urgent matters. So, Bond uses this opportunity to escape. While escaping the prison camp, I performed my 150th takedown. That might have been the last one I needed. Queensbury rules. Pretty easy. I'm glad I did this on recruit or regular because I can at least afford to be a little bit aggressive. Outside of the prison camp, I made it to an airfield where I pursued Rack through the air. My aircraft is then shot down and I'm forced to continue on foot. Once getting to a dam, I found a sniper, which was actually the 16th and final gun I needed to get a kill with in the campaign. Alright, the final weapon here, I think if I kill someone with it, I should get the trophy. I'll just take out this guy right here. Horrible aim, but that should be the trophy now. Master at Arms. Inside the dam, I arrived to a lift and needed to kill every enemy on each level I passed. Thankfully, there were only 2 levels with 4 and 5 enemies on each respectively. This was pretty easy, and after taking out all of the enemies, I got the trophy. That was very easy. Shooting range. Once getting to the top of the dam, it was time for the final boss battle. Here I needed to find a way to destroy Rack's helicopter. I ended up utilizing the dam's pressure control to damage the helicopter, and here I also found the 50th and final piece of intel. Full debrief. After using a crane to crash Rack's plane, he survives and we end up in a final showdown. During the fight, Rack reveals that he wasn't the one behind everything and offers to reveal who hired him in exchange for his life. However, Bond refuses after realizing the jewel-encrusted knife Rack used matches the same jewels from Nicole Hunter's fashion line, connecting her to the case. Oh. Damn fine shot. Did not expect to have to shoot him there. Caught me a little bit off guard. While I thought the game would end here, there turned out to be an epilogue. In the final cutscene, we see Nicole speaking with a group of unidentified businessmen to discuss their next target. As they plan the assassination, Nicole's secretary enters and hands her a package containing Rack's knife. Realizing her involvement had been uncovered, Nicole ends the meeting and quickly drives off. Now I had to chase her, and of course there was yet another trophy attached to this section. Here I needed to complete the entire sequence, which was actually quite long, without hitting any other vehicles. Thankfully, I was able to take it slow, which made this one a lot easier compared to the previous chase trophies. Alright, this should be it. Should pop here. That would have been crazy if I crashed into her right there. No claims bonus. After stopping Nicole's vehicle, Bond discovers that she was actually working as a double agent for a higher organization. Nicole explains that she was trying to prove herself to an unknown figure she claims is more powerful than anything MI6 has ever faced. However, before Bond can question her further, an unmanned drone passes by and kills her on the spot, leaving the game on a cliffhanger. She got lit up. A bridge too far. There we go. Alright, that is for completing the game. Now that the campaign was complete, it was time to replay it on 007 difficulty. And given that the previous Bond games weren't too bad on the hardest difficulty, I wasn't too worried going in. But after a few minutes, I quickly realized this game was going to be a completely different beast. One hit? That's crazy. On 007 difficulty, you still have regenerating health, which meant that if an enemy got too close, especially one with a shotgun, you were basically one shot. Ammo was also extremely limited, so I had to be very conservative with every shot I fired. And as you may have noticed earlier, there's also no crouch button, which made certain stealth sections even more difficult compared to other games in the series. What did help though was utilizing my phone, as I could see where incoming enemies were coming from and prevent them from flanking. Nonetheless, I was still able to complete Athens, only dying a few times.
Honestly?
Olympic gold. Very easy. In Istanbul, I managed to perform my 20th reach over cover takedown. Alright, this should give me a trophy here. That was the last one I needed. drag off. This chapter had a couple difficult sections, but overall it wasn't too bad.
The researcher is dead.
Grand Bazaar. That end part was pretty difficult. Other than that, it wasn't too bad. We died once, twice. In Monaco, I managed to earn 2 combat-based trophies, the first for throwing 5 people off balconies, and the second for performing 40 stealth takedowns. Alright, that is the last one I needed. That's the only place I've been able to find to effectively do that, so might as well grind it out there. Free fall. This should be the last one. Silent running. That one is actually kind of tricky because there's a difference between regular takedowns, overhead takedowns, obviously throwing them over, regular takedown, like there's so many. So that one took to the second playthrough to get, but then nonetheless, now I don't really have to worry about taking people down. The ending section of Monaco had a lot of enemies, but again, by going slow and taking out each one by one while also using my phone, I got it done pretty easily.
You sure he won't mind?
I broke the bank. That one actually wasn't too bad. I don't even know if I died. Siberia is where things turned up a notch. Remember earlier when I said that defense section would be absolutely hell on 007 difficulty? Well, it was. I need ammo. No! Where did he come from? It's over. I don't have enough ammo. What the f? The worst part was that after defending each entrance once, enemies would start coming from both sides at the same time, which meant I got flanked constantly and often one-shotted in the process. Because there were so many enemies, I also kept running out of ammo, so I'd have to break cover and run out into the open just to pick it up from their bodies. Eventually, after getting a better understanding of when and how each wave spawned, I managed to complete the section. However, that wasn't even the last hard part of Siberia. A few minutes later, while waiting for Nicole, I was again attacked by large waves of enemies. The trick here was to climb back up the ladder where I came from and camp the stairs below, taking them out one by one from safety. Thankfully, the enemies weren't infinitely spawning like some Call of Duty sections. Nonetheless, after this, along with the chase and the boat sections, I managed to complete what was probably the hardest chapter in the entire game. My god, that chapter alone took like an hour and a half. Was not a fan.
Good morning.
Best served cold. Awful. That's one of the worst I've played in this entire, like, series. Out of any James Bond game. That mission was awful. Thankfully, on Bangkok, I could mostly utilize stealth throughout, which made the whole chapter a breeze. I think I did it. That wasn't too bad. End was a little annoying, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. I'm not looking forward to this last one, though. Mai Tai. Now it was time for Burma, which again, by utilizing stealth in the early sections, made it quite easy, and I didn't really have a problem until I got to the dam. Outside, when first attempting to damage Rack's helicopter, I kept getting lit up every time I stepped out into the open. I can't get down. What is going on in the neighborhood? I can't. That's BS, bro. Why did he jump across? After managing to get past this section, it was smooth sailing until I got to the final boss battle, which I'd argue was way more frustrating than the defense section on Siberia. While running from console to console, I kept getting torn up by the helicopter's turrets, and this part took me forever. That's just bull. I don't care. What is this? I'll be dead here. This is the worst game of all time. Like, this section is by far the hardest. It's not particularly close. Woo. I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that. It made me get up. This shit sucks. This is the worst game I've ever played. Like, actually. I don't understand. I don't understand. I don't understand. That's just a... I'm gonna crash. But like, why? And how? How? No, I was there! Get down! On a few occasions, I'd even managed to get to the final console and then proceed to immediately die, right before the checkpoint, and it's safe to say I was not having a good time. Oh! Forward! Excuse me? Excuse me?
You will die by my hand.
Oh my god.
You will die by my hand. It's time for you to die.
Get down! Oh my god! The cover system in this game reeks. It's
You will die by my hand.
No! No! Why did he stop running? Why did he stop running? Why did he stop running? I don't understand. This game is so bad. It's like complete luck. It is. You cannot convince me otherwise. And after 45 minutes, I finally had a good run and completed the mission.
Time for you to die.
Yes! Checkpoint? Oh my god. Thank God. That was awful. I think this is it. My god. Took way too long. I'm disgusted. I know, I gotta shoot him one more time. Turn around. Loser. I hated that. Like, everything about that was god awful. It genuinely sucked. Law of the Jungle was not worth it. Absolutely, probably one of the worst 007 missions in any of these games. Probably the hardest. Now all that was left was to chase after Nicole, and after completing the very easy epilogue, my time playing James Bond 007 Bloodstone had come to a close. That should be it. For the 007 playthrough, my voice is gone. That last mission absolutely killed me. I never want to see this game again. Blood from a Stone. The final Bloodstone attainable achievement. It's unfortunate that 007 Bloodstone had to end on a cliffhanger, but I don't think that was ever really the intention, especially with the planned sequel eventually being cancelled. As for the game overall, this was honestly probably my least favorite of the Bond games I've played. I did enjoy the third-person shooter style, and it actually reminded me a lot of the Hitman games mechanically. Given that the developers of Hitman are also working on 007 First Light, I can see how Bloodstone may have even served as an early inspiration. However, the lack of basic features like a crouch button really felt outdated and made certain sections unnecessarily frustrating. I liked the takedown system, but at times it felt a bit janky, with the game forcing me into normal takedowns when I was trying to stealth, which would often blow my cover and get me killed. I honestly thought the driving sequences were pretty cool and felt really smooth, which impressed me. Unfortunately, I can kind of see why a sequel never happened, as it didn't really match the same style or polish as the other Bond games that came before it. The trophies, however, were actually probably the best part. They had a wide variety, from the silly fruit bowl trophy to unique miscellaneous trophies in each mission, which kept things engaging and gave me something to always look forward to. 007 difficulty was also by far the hardest of any Bond game I played, maybe only second to the N64 GoldenEye 007, but at least on the PS3 generation it definitely stood out as the toughest. So personally it wasn't terrible, but if you decided to skip this one, I wouldn't blame you.
007 Legends was the final and most recent James Bond game released on PlayStation and Xbox. Developed by Eurocom and published by Activision, the game released in 2012 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the James Bond film franchise. To honor that, the single-player campaign features missions inspired by multiple classic Bond films from across different eras of the series. However, just like the previous two games, Daniel Craig's likeness is used throughout the entire campaign. The game features 51 trophies in total, with 32 available in the story, 5 tied to its challenge mode, and the remaining 14 locked to multiplayer. And like every other Bond game on PS3, the multiplayer servers were shut down, this time in 2019. So with that being said, let's get into the final Bond game.
Interfered with my plans for the last time, Mr. Bond.
Of course, like every single other game, I needed to complete the story on the hardest difficulty. 007 Legends also featured two different health systems that you could choose between, Modern or Classic. Modern of course used regenerating health, while Classic disabled health regen entirely, instead requiring you to find armor and health packs throughout each mission like GoldenEye. So for my first playthrough, I decided to play on 007 difficulty with the Classic health system. The game opens with Bond chasing a mercenary through Istanbul before being accidentally shot off a train. As he falls into the river below, Bond begins flashing back to a series of missions that took place between Quantum of Solace and Skyfall. The first flashback takes place in Miami, where Bond wakes up to find a woman dead, her body covered in gold paint. Days later, he tracks the man responsible to a facility in Switzerland. This sets the stage for the first mission of the game, but before getting into it, I have to mention just how much there was to keep track of during my first playthrough. Like GoldenEye 007, each level featured multiple secondary objectives that needed to be completed. There were also 3 level trials per mission, 1 for each difficulty, which included challenges like stealthing through certain sections, maintaining a high accuracy percentage, or shooting hidden targets scattered throughout the levels. And a few trophies were even tied to completing these, but we'll get to that later. On top of that, each mission also contained intel collectibles and bonus targets that needed to be found and shot, so this game really went all out with optional objectives. So for the sake of pacing, I'll mostly only be mentioning the ones related to trophies. Nonetheless, the first level of the Goldfinger chapter, called Auric Enterprises, tasks Bond with infiltrating the facility and gathering evidence on Goldfinger's smuggling operation. This level acted as a bit of a tutorial, and I was introduced to all of the gadgets this game offered, including a gadget to distract enemies, which after utilizing earned me a trophy.
Distracting. That is for distracting enemies.
Soon after, I found the 14th and final collectible in the level.
I expect you to die. Guessing that's for intel? Not too sure. That's a very harsh trophy.
In Goldfinger's office, Bond learns of Goldfinger's plans to irradiate the United States Gold Depository at Fort Knox, Kentucky in Operation Grand Slam. After my cover was blown, I attempted to make my escape, and in the process earned a total of 10,000 XP in the mission to earn yet another trophy.
Spent the money quickly, Mr. Bond. Again, not too sure what that means, but I'm sure I told you right before this.
Bond is eventually captured and taken with Goldfinger to Kentucky, where the mission comes to a close. The final chapter of the Goldfinger story, Fort Knox, then begins as the United States Army arrives to rescue Bond and attempt to stop Goldfinger's plan. And after killing a few enemies, I earned the trophy for making an elimination with every weapon class.
Master at Arms.
Like in GoldenEye Reloaded's Classic mode, I actually found that playing on Classic here worked in my advantage, as I felt like a bullet sponge, and thankfully armor was pretty plentiful. Nonetheless, once inside Fort Knox, I found an upgrade box and bought all the attachments for shotguns with the XP I had earned up to that point.
Boys with toys.
Toward the end of the level, I needed to intercept a bomb, and here I had a boss fight with Oddjob, and the boss fights in 007 Legends were not my favorite at all. They were a dual-style quick-time event, which required me to use both the right and left stick to attack my opponent, which felt very odd and clunky. But nonetheless, after defeating Oddjob and defusing the bomb, there was a short cutscene where Bond kills Goldfinger and the chapter concluded. In the process, I also managed to complete all 3 level trials in this mission, which earned me a trophy.
Everything or nothing. I think that's for completing all trials in 1 level. Goldfinger, that's for beating this mission.
The next chapter on Her Majesty's Secret Service begins with the level Alpine Valley, which is a fairly short mission. In the Swiss Alps, Bond and his partner Teresa attempt to escape on skis from the forces of Blofeld, a terrorist mastermind operating from his mountain lair nearby. This level wasn't too difficult as it mainly involved navigating past trees, enemies on snowmobiles, and helicopters until reaching the bottom of the mountain, where Bond is injured by an avalanche and Teresa is captured by Blofeld's men. In the process, I also managed to complete the 007 time trial, and because I had now finished the 007 trial on all of the first 3 missions, I earned a trophy.
Above and beyond a 00.
In the next level, Blofeld's lair, Bond and Draco, Tracy's father, lead an aerial assault on Blofeld's lair in order to rescue her. The mission was pretty cool and actually reminded me a lot of the Gulag mission from Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. After infiltrating the lair and rescuing Tracy, Draco and she escape while Bond pushes forward into the facility to gather intel on Blofeld's plan. During my progression through the laboratory, I found another upgrade box and unlocked all the MI6 training modules, which included upgrades like improved aim and faster health regeneration.
Standards of physical perfection.
In the lab, I also found 2 more pieces of intel, which brought me up to 30% of all character and organization intel collected.
People power. Web of intrigue.
Once making it into Blofeld's office, I found the last few pieces of intel in this level.
Never happened to the other guy.
While investigating Blofeld's office, he appears and traps Bond inside with toxic gas in an attempt to delay Bond while making his escape. Eventually, I catch up to him on a ski lift, and after another short and annoying boss battle, I completed the chapter.
The trials are going to be tough. I can come back and do that any day. OHMSS.
The next chapter, License to Kill, begins with the mission Refinery. The level starts off pretty intense as Bond finds a fellow operative maimed in his home with his wife dead. It turns out that the man responsible is Franz Sanchez, a Mexican drug lord that the two had previously failed to take down. Seeking vengeance, Bond and DEA agent Pam Bouvier attempt to infiltrate Sanchez's operation inside an old temple with the goal of taking him down, which is where the mission begins. While fighting my way past the guards on the surface of the temple, I managed to use a shock dart and eliminate 3 guards standing next to each other.
Yes. Oh, that got 3 of them. Positively shocking. I was gonna say, that's gotta be it right there.
Eventually, I made my way into the refinery. Here, I placed bombs everywhere, and once inside the laboratory section, I upgraded the shock dart to its highest level.
Very novel cue.
While Pam was distracting Sanchez, I snuck into his office and found some information, and while attempting to escape the refinery, we find out that Pam's cover was blown, and I needed to save her quickly. Here, I detonated the bombs, and things got chaotic. On my way to Pam's location, I picked up the final intel in this level.
You prepare for the unexpected. Sure do.
Once getting to Pam, we find Sanchez, and right when I'm about to kill him, his henchman intervenes and I have to fight him off first. This was another one of those annoying duels, and after beating him, we needed to escape the refinery before Sanchez got too far ahead. We end up utilizing a helicopter to escape the refinery, and the mission comes to a close. The final level in this chapter, Mountain Roads, is a high-speed pursuit that actually feels similar to some of the missions in Bloodstone, and I even got a chance to drive. The mission is fairly straightforward as I needed to avoid enemy fire while driving before eventually boarding Sanchez's truck. After forcing it off the road, we enter a final duel where I finished him and the chapter off for good.
Isn't he a little bit close for that? I'm not gonna lie, he definitely got some burns on his back. License to Kill. I did not like the refinery. That was awful.
Next, it was time for the chapter Die Another Day, which consists of 3 levels. The first, Ice Hotel, takes us to Iceland, where Bond and NSA agent Jinx arrive at a party hosted by billionaire Gustav Graves, who is suspected of being involved in the theft of military satellite components. While investigating Graves' hotel room, Jinx spots Zhao, a rogue North Korean operative responsible for the death of her colleagues, and suspects he may be involved with Graves as well. During the gala, it's revealed that Graves plans to weaponize the Icarus satellite, using it to target South Korean forces on the DMZ and open the way for a North Korean invasion. Now we needed to enter the biodome and try to put a stop to Graves. While making my way to Graves' office, I reached Mastery 3 with the P99.
I think I might get a trophy for that. I don't know. Signature, yep.
Once inside, I took a picture of a crocodile.
Oh, I see it. Alright, so this should give me a trophy. It was kind of hidden. Happy Snapper. I almost missed that.
Inside Graves' office, we finally come face to face with the man himself. After he shocks Bond with his exoskeleton, we see Jinx about to be tortured by Zhao. Following a duel and defeat of Zhao, we manage to save Jinx and attempt to escape the biodome while chasing after Graves. On the way out of the office, I also found my final piece of intel.
Vodka, martini, plenty of ice.
After leaving the biodome and the hotel, the mission ends and the next level has us chasing Graves in Bond's Aston Martin. Much like in Bloodstone, this chase section had a trophy attached, where I needed to reach Graves' plane without using any car gadgets. This was pretty easy up until the point where I actually had to drive into the back of Graves' plane. Without being able to use traction control, if I got hit by any of the objects falling out of the cargo bay, I was basically done for. What made it even worse was the time limit, so if I got hit or slowed down at all, it was pretty much over. This section ended up being one of, if not the most frustrating part of the game.
3. Oh, I had it. Okay.
I'm there. No, I'm not. I can still do it.
That felt much quicker than 20. I cannot get hit here. No!
No.
It's hitting me. Even out. We're not evening out. There's still a chance.
I think your only option is to drive
Come on.
straight in.
No. 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 No.
Still the chance.
No. I'm there.
Guess we're getting a little too close.
I'm there.
That was hard. I should get a trophy. I did not use any gadgets, I promise. With or without Q. There we go. Again, wasn't too bad besides the end. That was a little rough. The final level, Graves' cargo plane, has us fighting our way through the plane until we reached Graves. Here we have a boss battle duel, and after defeating him and then escaping in a helicopter, the chapter comes to a close. Die another day. That was pretty fun. Now it's time for the final chapter of the game, Moonraker. The first mission, Spaceport, takes us to Brazil, where Bond and Holly Goodhead, a NASA scientist working undercover for the CIA, infiltrate the rocket launch facility of Hugo Drax, a billionaire industrialist who has built his own private space program. After getting past a few guards, we meet up with Holly, and we discover that Drax intends to wipe out humanity using biological weapons deployed from his space station, while rebuilding the Earth with a selected master race of survivors. While exploring deeper into the facility, I overloaded the gyroscopic training machine, which was actually kind of funny. I think this should give me a trophy if I hack it. Oh god. Scream if you want to go faster. Oh my god, that's crazy. He's going so fast. From here, we attempted to make it to Drax's office to find out what was really going on. Inside the office, I found the last character bio intel in the entire game. Making it personal. After finding some information in Drax's office, we make it to the server room, where we're confronted by Jaws, one of Drax's henchmen. A duel follows, and we manage to get him out of the way. For now. We then run into Drax himself, but are knocked out by Jaws, who somehow returns. After escaping the blast pit, we find some spacesuits and attempt to board one of Drax's space shuttles. On the way to the shuttle, I pick up the final piece of organization intel. Around the world, one more time. Clandestine. I think that's for getting all intel in every single mission. Nice. After making our way to the silo, we use a helicopter, which gets shot down, but thankfully we manage to enter the shuttle before it's too late. Holly then pilots us into space, bringing the mission to a close. Now it was time for the final level of the game, Space Station. After Holly docks onto Drax's space station, our goal is to, of course, take down Drax, but also destroy the station itself. After getting past the first few sections of the level stealthily, we made it to the pod control room, where we needed to stop the pod launch, and after doing so, we get confronted by Jaws and Drax once again. This time, Bond manages to convince Jaws to switch sides, and he joins us in the fight against Drax. Around this point, the station loses gravity, and I experience zero gravity for the first time. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Thank you, Jaws. One small step for a man.
From here, we fight through enemies on the station, which was actually quite tough in zero gravity. It made me much less accurate and there wasn't much cover available. Eventually, the US Marines also arrived to help and we needed to make it back to the pod control room to stop Drax from launching the poison pods. After destroying the mechanical arms of the pods, we finally find Drax and anticlimactically launch him into space, concluding the final mission.
Accuracy's hard. Did elimination though, that's good. Moonraker. Final mission in the game, I believe. Secret Agent, nice, that's for one of the completionists. 007, that's for beating it on 007.
After the third mission, when I completed my third 007 trial, I decided to stop working on the lower level trials and come back to them after finishing the game, as they would be much easier to complete on a lower difficulty. So after beating the final level, I then went back and completed 6 of the agent level trials and 8 of the operative level trials, earning 2 more trophies.
Yes, that was it right there. More than an agent. That's for, I think, the operative challenges, which I just got by getting 40 kills with my pistol in this level. Time trial complete, which should earn me my last trophy of the campaign. Extended operative, there we go.
These 2 trophies marked the end of the single player section, and it was now time for the challenge mode, which was pretty much identical to GoldenEye 007 Reloaded. So again, I looked up guides for the best modifiers to use in order to get 3 stars in each mission, and this time I completed every single one without using any cheat codes. Thankfully, the health system in Legends was much more forgiving than in GoldenEye, which made all of these missions a lot easier to get through. I ended up getting my first trophy in challenge mode after earning a 3-star rating in a mission.
Too easy. All that glitters. And pretty easy.
And the next for getting 30% of all available stars.
Let's go. Infiltration's pretty easy. Shooting star.
And another for getting 60% of all available stars.
Yes! That one was kind of annoying. It wasn't hard, there's just so many enemies. Starstruck.
And the last 2 for earning 1 star in each mission, as well as getting 100% of all available stars.
Come on. Where's she at? Oh. I had to press the button. Yes! The last 5 stars I needed. Let's go. Go back. The star menu. Challenger. I think there's one more, maybe? And fascination with all things gold. 007 Legends has been complete. And with that, the James Bond series on PlayStation has also been complete for now. 007 Legends, although very similar to GoldenEye 007 Reloaded, was actually pretty fun. I really liked the amount of gadgets available and the gunplay felt solid. I also really liked the customization section as well as the MI6 training modules, since they reminded me of some of the mechanics from Special Ops in the Modern Warfare games. One thing I absolutely did not like, however, were the quick time event duels, as they felt a bit clunky and not well made at all. They could also be pretty difficult at times, especially if you went into them with low health. Oh. I'm gonna do that. Don't do that. Fuck you. More. Okay. Alright. I'm gonna fucking...
The missions themselves had a good mix of short and long levels, although I can't lie, on the longer missions, trying to find all the intel, complete secondary objectives, and finish time trials made my first playthrough a bit stressful and honestly a bit of a headache. That said, Legends had a very generous health system and was probably the easiest out of any Bond game I've played. I also thought it was really cool that it featured multiple movies instead of focusing on just one. The trophies were also about what you'd expect, however I do wish there were some more fun miscellaneous trophies, like the one where you had to take a picture of a crocodile. While I definitely wouldn't put it above games like Quantum of Solace or GoldenEye Reloaded, it still wasn't bad at all, so I definitely recommend playing it, especially if you're a fan of the older Bond films featured in it. And after 5 games and 197 trophies and achievements later, I have officially completed all of the James Bond games available on the PS3 and Xbox 360. It's unfortunate that the multiplayer servers shut down, so I wasn't able to experience that side of the games myself, but the single player and challenge modes definitely made up for it. I will also be putting links to every guide I used in the description, because without them, this wouldn't have been easy to complete at all, especially considering a lot of these games are a bit older and aren't super well known and don't have many guides online. online. So definitely check out the links if you're planning to go for these trophies yourself. Overall, I really enjoyed playing through each and every one of these games, and I won't lie, it definitely made me want to watch all of the films. I'm really looking forward to playing 007 First Light, so stay tuned for that video as soon as it releases. I know this video was a long one, but if you stayed through the entire thing, I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you for 007 First Light.